So I couldn't really get a proofreader tonight, so you guys are getting a really raw version of this. Are we harsher critics? Are we being rougher on video games and movies than we have been in the past? Are we genuinely not being as easygoing or outright unfair to game and movie publishers? If the answer was no, would I be here making this video? But we are being harsher without very good reasons. Let's explore those reasons! First, sponsorships, streaming, and the things that actually make these videos possible. I know you hear this from so many people on every single YouTube video. You notice that I've made each one of these unique so that the shilling process doesn't always seem like it's the exact same. I'm advertisement free. I don't have ads on my channel unless somebody makes a copyright claim. Because of these things, you need to listen up because these are the things that actually allow me to make more videos. So, these are important. Wednesday night, 9 p.m. to 2 a.m., Fallout Equestria Tabletop. You want to watch the little green pony and where it comes from? This little green pony? Well, that's where she comes from, and I'll see you guys there. Show up on Twitch. Check the description for the link. In addition to this, furthermore, the company Dead Tree Studios sponsors the game and made the tabletop game itself. Check them out in the description and give them some love. They actually provide our GM, as well as you can go check out and get your own copy. Next, Classic Battletech RPG starts Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All times are Eastern Standard Time, so just look up New York time for relative where you are. Sorry if that's a little late for some of you. Come check out the Battle Mech antics and our characters' struggles to be mercenaries in a colorful, fun, and unforgiving universe. Lastly, I have a book coming out thanks to you guys and the streams, and it's based upon our adventures in Fallout Equestria. Check it out in the description. Now, all that done, we can move on. Why are we harsher critics today than we have ever been? What made us this way? Well, it's a combination of a few things that have happened in the gaming industry that have made us harsher critics about video games. 1. Genuinely good games. 2. Business practices that abuse us as customers that make no sense compared to how the gaming industry was when we were younger. 3. Hyperbolic hype trains that lead nowhere when the game doesn't deliver on the promises it made or on the expectations they set before us. 4. A yearly release cycle that keeps trying to find a way to make an experience cost more money for slight upgrades and constantly milks us for money. And 5, we talked about this in the previous video, obvious corporate greed in our creative media that we enjoy in our leisure time. Let's unpack 1. And I will use 40K games for my examples. So, I would like to thank the people on the screen for the footage. You can find links in the description below to any footage used, and I give them full credit. But I love 40K Space Marine. I love it. I look forward to the day when we get Space Marine 2, or we get Warhammer 40K Guardsmen. I honestly loved Dawn of War 1 and 2. I especially loved the campaign of Dawn of War 2. While multiplayer and skirmish of Dawn of War 1 is still superb. These are games that I know hold up against other 40K games when I want to do a review. Is this fair? Of course it's fair. These games are decades old and still hold up to this day as amazing experiences. Why then would I not want future experiences to improve upon what has already been made? Recently, in the last 2 years, we've gotten a stream of 40K games, and of them, I can only recommend 3. We've gotten 3 good Warhammer Fantasy games, and of them, I can only recommend 1 without any reservations. This isn't counting the bad ones. The bad ones are miles long. I've done dozens of reviews on the terrible 40K games. But I agree with Zoran the Bear and his assessment of 40K Space Marine. It is a beautiful piece that captures what it means to be a Space Marine in the 41st millennium. It captures the fighting to survive in a hopeless environment. It captures the story and atmosphere of 40K, from the guardsmen paying reverence to the Space Marines in the middle of battle while orc rounds are flying past their head, that grips you in a way that sucks you straight into the experience and won't let you go. The multiplayer, both competitive and cooperative, is simply amazingly well done, and they tried to recreate it in Eternal Crusade and failed. I have little to no complaints about Warhammer 40k Space Marine when it comes to balance, bugs, glitches, or other issues with the game at all. Dawn of War is a revolutionary epic that captures the massive battles of 40k and the expectations of what is required of a single Space Marine platoon. Not a company, just a small-scale couple squads. The mixture of RPG elements, preparations for a mission, constant mission action, and tactical thinking that the game requires was and still is a breath of fresh air into the strategy genre to this day. Not all of you will agree with me and prefer the Dawn of War 1 base building, and that has its merits. But Dawn of War 2 will always be my favorite strategy game of all time, for its removal of resource management and instead emphasis on use what you brought to the field because you prepared before you came, maximize every little decision you make, and you're against the clock. I personally would prefer my RTS as you make an army on the campaign map or in the lobby and do the fighting on the field, not the resource management, but some people prefer base building and resource management, and that's fine. But this is why I prefer Total War to Command and Conquer. Both games are excellent, and I enjoy both of them, but I will play Total War any day of the week. I will play Command & Conquer very selectively. Go ahead, hate in the comments below. Tell me why I'm wrong. You done? Okay, cool. Now, is it unreasonable for us to expect better and better after these games? No. As human beings, we're expecting refinement and revolution, as well as change that makes everything in our lives better as we develop further into the future. Furthermore, we are expecting that for the same expenditure of resources we have in the past. Why? Because this is how history has worked. Farming hasn't reduced its hours, hasn't increased the amount of time they work, but it has drastically increased its output for what we put into it. Computers have become more and more efficient and do more and more advanced things that dazzle us every single day, yet we dreamed of these things in the past. All for the same expenditure of time, resources, money, and effort. So when it comes to our entertainment, why should we expect less? These big budget and small budget games have set a bar so high that it has to continue to meet with a variety of methods. Unique story, unique concept for a game, different mechanics that experiment, or refining mechanics of previous games to perfection. When they fail to do that, we call them out. While not all creators have played the same gaming experiences we have, they still have to measure up to those experiences. It's not an entirely fair system, but life in the world isn't fair, and this is something they have to face. If you're making a 40k game, for instance, you need to understand that what games made like Dawn of War 1 and 2, Space Marine, and Battlefleet Gothic is good. And you need to know what made them good. If we are publishing these games, you need to understand this as well, and this calls back to my first video, shareholders and corporate entities making game decisions when they never played or developed a game themselves. They don't understand the media they're making decisions to, and when it backfires, they blame the developer. But that is a discussion we went over in video 1, linked in the description as well as at the end of this video. Game developers need to understand we are harsher critics because you have given us an experience that we've already had with just a new story, and no refinement or modifications from previous games is going to create backlash. If you take steps back in the genre to systems that we don't want, you're just going to make us pissed off. Or worse, if the new game is full of bugs, glitches, and adds nothing and has no substance to the previous games in the same genre or series, you don't expect us to be upset? You see, in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, when a game was released, it was thoroughly tested, and there were usually patches that had already been put into the game before it was released. There wasn't any need to patch. The game was ready. If it had a glitch or a bug, it was minor and something you had to really work at to make happen. Games would be delayed to make them better and fix these issues. Today they're forced out, requiring day one patches and massive amounts of developer crunch, which has proven to make inferior products and grind out devs from the industry or their company faster. And example of this is Telltale Games and how they kept making the same game with different stories and backdrops, but no improvement to the gameplay itself. There's a reason they received critical acclaim and not commercial success. You've already played it. We could then just watch a YouTube video and get the experience and not have to pay for it. YouTube, however, is a discussion for a future video. Actually, the next in the series, so if you want to see more, I'd like to see 50 to 100 likes or comments or a combination thereof. Entirely up to you guys. I want to see you guys maintain interest in these as I make more of them. Now, on to point 2. Business practices that try to exploit us more and more. As I mentioned before, in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, you bought a game. It was finished. If the devs made more gaming content, you got a sequel with refined mechanics, a completely new story that expanded on the universe from the previous game, and the second game was usually longer than the first. Then around 97, 2000, between 97 and 2000, we got a major change for PC games. Expansion packs. This is when PC gaming started to explode because games like Total War Rome, Command & Conquer Red Alert, and Neverwinter Nights all got loads of expansions and had new life breathed into them. Suddenly, PC games could offer a ton more for just an additional $10 to $30 after the base price tag of $20 to $50. You no longer had to build a full sequel. You only had to build an expansion to the previous game that fixed glitches and bugs, expanded with new mechanics, added new units, or just made the story go to places that people didn't expect. This was great. Still is. And this system encourages developers to re-add cut content to games that were originally already out, as well as provide new story beats, clear up plot holes, create content from artwork that never got used. The list goes on and on, but more importantly, it made individual games last longer. Brand loyalty started to develop, and publishers took notice. Today we're seeing the after effects. Publishers are looking for ways to exploit individual games like never before to maximize profit. They taunt the cost of development as the reason for this, but this is a fallacy. We see recently with Blizzard showing off millions of dollars of bonuses to rehire a CFO that left the company. An EA CEO predicted to make $50 million this year. Meanwhile, Overwatch only cost $40 million to make. Overwatch, one of the most successful games of the current gaming generation, $40. Fortnite, the most successful game right next to Grand Theft Auto 5, $20 million. Today it only gets worse. We see the $1 red dot from Activision Blizzard and Call of Duty Black Ops. Fallout 76 is selling us skins and clothing items from Fallout 4 that was originally made for Fallout 4 for free. Loot boxes don't reveal chances of getting certain items, and when it's revealed the probability of getting particularly valuably rare items that give you in-game bonuses that make it pay to win, you find you need over 1,000 of them to get everything in FIFA 2018. Gamers are being abused repeatedly for more money, and this now extends to expansions and DLCs. Money that isn't going to make games, but is going to fill executives' pockets. The Total War Warhammer series, in order for you to have access to all the factions, both campaign types, everything the game has to offer, requires you to purchase both games and all of their DLC, totaling $243.87 plus tax for one game. Not to mention, they abuse the DLC system to avoid a mature rating for the franchise that needs an M rating by putting Blood and Gore pack as a paid DLC for both games, totaling $4.98, so you can get the full promised Warhammer Fantasy experience. The experience that they hyped this on. Developers have been abusing us, and that abuse is now finally resulting in a massive amount of kickback. Fallout 76 has been the focal point of that kickback for the last 4 months, and I could kick the dead horse if I wanted to, because every single mistake Bethesda has made with this game has been put under a a magnifying glass, blown out of proportion, slammed, and absolutely destroyed till the media outlet has nothing more to do with it until the next mistake. FIFA and 2K FIFA, the soccer series, or football as it's called internationally, and the 2K basketball series have suffered the same fate this year, and with good reason. We're in a breaking and a boiling point. It's nice to finally see these exploitative publishers getting hit time and again for their abuse of our wallets for no other reason than unsustainable growth to make more money when they clearly don't need it. This is one of the reasons we are harsher on games today. We want to go back to the way it was. Games come complete with minimal or no bugs and glitches, well balanced and well made with no need for additional patches beyond maybe one or two. With an expansion pack that fills in the story gaps, expands the story, gives new mechanics, and experiments with cut content. Corporations like EA and Blizzard want us to believe this isn't possible or sustainable, but the fact is that it worked for 30 years for the gaming industry. Why is it not sustainable or possible? Today, it is just because we honestly see it. Everyone at the top getting more and more money, while our favorite game studios and our favorite game series are diluted or changed in a way that means they no longer appeal to their actual intended audience. And then you can see examples of these niche games and their studios being closed down. Viscera Games, see Westwood Studios, see the radical changes that have been occurring at Activision Blizzard, particularly the Blizzard branch of that, for the last 2 months, or see what's happened to BioWare and how the Mass Effect series has gone so wrong. This brings us to point 3 that is made so much more disconcerting with what we see and read and are shown by publishers and developers and the gaming media. Hype trains that are hyperbolic and don't deliver what was promised. Fallout 76, Wolfenstein the New Colossus, Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 3, Mafia 3 never stood a chance by the time they came out. Do you know why? Do you know why we were so cynical and so angry at them? Because we'd already been exposed to Middle-earth: Shadow of War, Fallout 4, No Man's Sky, Fable 3, and so many other titles that made huge, massive, sweeping promises and only delivered pieces of those promises or nothing at all. Publishers making promises their developers know they can't deliver in order to build hype and force us to get pre-orders has finally come to backfire hard. We see videos now and pick them apart, tearing into theories if they can't deliver or not. Then, when a game does deliver, we barely take notice till months after release. Why? Because we're waiting for reviews. We have been trained to ignore the hype train, to ignore the excitement building around the game, and instead wait for release. PUBG is an excellent example of this. Great on paper, excellent at game shows. Dear God, it's boring. Okay? Especially compared to Fortnite. We're waiting to see people play the game on Twitch or YouTube, again, for another video, to make sure we want to play it. Divinity Original Sin 2 released in September 2017 and initially was a flop. The sales numbers for September and October are incredibly vague. Late September, early October, I should say, are incredibly vague and show that the game didn't have much according to Steam. And then suddenly it exploded and has become the 7th highest grossing game on Steam by November of 2017. November. Developers effectively waited 2 months for the game to catch on and stay caught. Publishers are expecting day one numbers from Call of Duty Black Ops 4 to be 550 million. But that's never going to happen. Ever. Gamers are adopting a wait-and-see mentality because the promises are never delivered upon. I hear so many people agree with me on this. Do not pre-order. Wait and see. Look at your favorite influencer, which is a terrible name, by the way, to determine if it's worth putting their money into. During 2012 to 2016, we were burned so many times by hype. by constant bombards of hype cycles only to be disappointed. During 2017, we wised up and got upset about it. And going into 2018, it only got worse. And then, in my opinion, Fallout 76 became the epitome of everything we saw wrong with the gaming industry. And now in 2019, we as gamers clearly are not going to put up with it anymore. People are not even hyped for Doom Eternal, despite the fact that Doom 2016 delivered. They're not hyped for this. They're like, well, I'll wait and see what it looks like when you play it. I would have never thought that in 2016. I would have never thought that would have happened. You don't see your favorite streamer or content creator actually playing the game, you aren't going to buy it. You don't hear your friends talking about it, you don't buy it. That's how it works now. Hundreds of thousands of gamers have developed what I would call a hype filter. Anything the publisher or developer says or shows off is bullshit till you see someone you feel you like and you know actually pick it up, play it, and enjoy it. It's because we've been lied to and misled by hyperbole so many times that we no longer believe footage from E3. The Electronic Entertainment Expo is more an event for streamer and content creators to take a look at to figure out what their schedule for the year is going to look like, and less a hype train for individual consumers because of how much more discerning and harsh we've become. Which brings me to point 4. The yearly release cycle and the constant rehash of game series over originality. How many Assassin's Creeds are there? Why is there Division 2 and no apology or real help with Division 1? Call of Duty much? Battlefield much? Total War much? We're getting sick of yearly releases without any real improvements. The reason Total War 3 Kingdoms is so exciting is not just because it's in a setting we've never been in before, but because of the diplomacy system, which is a holdover from Rome Total War 1. A game I remember playing in high school. I'm 30. The diplomacy system is a holdover from at least 15 years ago. It's finally getting an overhaul, along with a promise of a total overhaul of the AI and to provide the same unit variety of Total War Warhammer. We'll see. Call of Duty, I can't tell the differences in unless I've been playing it for literal years and have paid $50 to $60. Or in the case of Activision's new shame tactic, oh dear God, if you haven't seen this, they literally put a label next to your account that's the same warning symbol you get on your computer when it's about to have a crash if you don't have the season pass. So all your friends can shame you into getting the season pass, making it an $80 to $100 game. Think about it. If you've played the last 4 Call of Duties with season passes, you spent $420 on one game series. $420 by the same publisher and 3 different developers. You want to know how Activision Blizzard does it? They literally run a developer sweatshop with 3 different developers who work on different games at different points over the course of 2 to 3 years to create a yearly release cycle for Call of Duty. They pick a new studio while closing the studio that messed up when things go poorly. It's sickening. And to us as gamers, we are now so very harsh because we are expecting more, because in the past we were delivered more, and now we're being delivered less and less and less and less. The last reason for this video is corporate greed, but we discussed that last video with the reason gaming in 2018 sucked: shareholders and corporate decisions. Did I miss a reason? Is there a reason you're a harsher critic today than you were 10 years ago? Are you not a harsher critic today? Do you want to expand on this? Let's talk. Comments. Go ahead. Keyboard warriors, go nuts. Remember to hit the like button and get it up there to see more of this series. Also, check out the live streams on Twitch and the upcoming Fallout Equestria book. I'd like to thank these patrons for our advertisement-free channel, and I'll see all of you next time. In the meantime, this has been Fiaura. Good night, guys.